All right, I'm now joined by a very, very special guest, recurring guest, friend of the pod. It is Frank Schwindel joining us from the Dominican Winter League. Frank, it's so great to see you. It's been a little bit. I think it's been a couple years, but I'm grateful you came back on and hopped on the pod for a little bit. How are you doing?
Doing great. Happy to be back, and let's get it going.
So what year is this for you playing in the Dominican Winter League?
This is my fourth time down here. I played for the Estrellas in the 17 and 18 winter. Came down for a couple weeks with the Aguilas in 2022, and then back in action with the Estrellas now.
How does that opportunity come about? Is it just like once you've played in there once? Is it just like, I like it so much, I'm going to keep coming back? Like, what is that like going every year?
Sometimes you need a couple more ABs. Sometimes the Royals wanted to see me play a little more, so they sent me down or highly recommended it. And then I had a couple good seasons down here, so a lot of those GMs have my contacts. I've got offers here and there, and then basically you get to choose. Well, I was in a position where I got to choose if I wanted to come down, for the winter or not, and a couple different offers. But yeah, it helped that I had success the first time here and got my name out there a little bit, and then it also helps my wife's Dominican. They like that. But no, it's been a great opportunity to be able to come down here.
How common is it for, so you said teams, we're like, all right, we like what we saw, but we want to see some more. Is that a common route for guys to go down there?
Yeah, I think it's either prospect guys because it is a tough league. So you'll see a couple guys prospects see what they can do against this kind of atmosphere, pitching, crazy environments. You see big leaguers who got hurt that come down get some reps in. You see a couple steroid suspensions in years past that come down and get their at bats in, stuff like that. So it's a great mix of talent.
So you said it's a tough league. What's the overall quality of game like down there?
Oof. I mean, there's not a reliever that throws under 95 now. It's crazy. Well, unless they're a specialist of some sort, but just the arms they've been rolling out every night are just, it's getting crazy. You see 100 every single night down here. And these guys are throwing hard. It's a tough league, and the rosters change every day. So as soon as the fifth inning, you're going to see a different reliever every at bat, and then that whole next day they could have nine new relievers in the pen. So these guys are coming at you.
Do you find it when spring training rolls around the year after you've played in the Dominican Winter League that you have more success coming from there, going to Arizona or Florida?
I think it definitely helps. You're bridging the gap for a couple month off season, but you're getting those reps in against some good arms, and you just feel more comfortable, more confident rolling in the spring. Where as if being in New Jersey, I'm getting swings in the cage. I'm the occasional live VP behind the guy on the L screen. So it's much better to be playing in that sense. But it's you play well down here, you're going to feel pretty good rolling into spring training.
That's a good point about it being like a Northeast guy in the wintertime. Yeah, I imagine it's just all inside. You're in a big warehouse swinging it in like a net. Like
Yeah.
that probably doesn't do a great job of like getting you ready for game action.
No, it's tough. It's tough to simulate. You can get as many swings in as you want, and as many cage ground balls, and get out on the turf. But it's you can't simulate a 9 inning game like you can obviously playing.
Yeah. So speaking of relievers, I had your former teammate in Long Island, Tyler Zuber, was on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and he had this really cool breakdown. He talked about fastballs down the middle from a pitcher's perspective of like how infrequently they're hit and how like they really don't like it's like 8 out of 1,000 were like for extra base hits or something. As a hitter, though, what is it about a fastball down the middle where you'll see so many guys either take it, not put it in play? Like, what is it about a fastball down the middle that's like not guaranteed to be crushed?
I have no idea. I saw that segment and it got me thinking because when I was struggling in Chicago, they showed me the one stat and I was fastballs down the middle. I was hitting under 100. I'm like, how is this possible? You go in the cage, you put the tee right down the middle, and you get warm. You get warmed up. So like and then first couple flips in the routine, you're having the guy throw it right down the middle so you can work the hands, work the other way, whatever you want to do for that day. But it's pretty incredible how those aren't getting whacked. And pitchers, you when these get in trouble, you see sometimes coaches like this tell the catcher sit right down the middle, stuff like that, because their stuff's gonna move. Yeah, obviously at this level, but the four seamer down the middle that blew my mind how it's not getting whacked. I just don't understand it. And if you got an answer for me, let me know.
I looked into it a little bit. So velocity was a big thing that came up. So it's like even if it's down the middle, if it's still coming at you hard with like some action on it, like that's one thing. And also, I think Tyler brought this up where it's like if hitters are like looking for stuff on the corners or they're set up away and then they're just like caught off guard by it, maybe. Do you think those could be it?
Yeah, I mean that's a big approach thing too. Like a lot of righty guys are sinker sliders, so you want to pick in or out or half, something like that. Or this guy's a ride high fastball guy with a curveball off it, so you're going to look up or down. So something like that where sometimes you neglect the big part of the plate right down the middle. But that's a part of the game where the pitchers are too good. There where nobody hits the ones on the black. You think so? You just look down the middle, and they're going to make a mistake here and there. But it's just it's a crazy game.
What's the feeling like when there is a fastball down the middle and you look at it? Is there a worse feeling as a hitter than like crap? That was it.
No, you got it exactly right. I mean, everybody can pick their own derogatory word that they're going to use, but it's just like, oh my goodness, what am I doing here? And then you step out, kind of regroup, and you're just like, man, that was probably the best pitch I'll see all year. And then you battle back in there, and then you swing at the two seamer in or the slider in the dirt, and you're just like, what am I doing?
Have you've been a pinch hitter, I'm assuming, right? In the big
Yeah.
leagues. So like the late inning relievers that you're called upon to face as a pinch hitter, if you're seeing a fastball, isn't that like MO for coming in late in the game? It's just like swing, see fastball, hit fastball.
Oh yeah, especially like I said, the relievers are so good now, where you might if you get a big, any pitch over the big part of the plate, that might be the best one you see. Especially, hitting's hard. I think pinch hitting's the hardest thing in the world. So it's like you're facing some of the best arms. Sitting around for 7, 8 innings. Get loose in the cage, but still, it's you got a high pressure situation if you're pinch hitting, and you gotta beat this guy, and the odds are against you. But that's when you see a fastball, you're swinging.
That's like the hardest job of the big league is like just sitting there for 2.5 hours. Do you think some guys are like wired to be better at that than others?
The guys that are good at it have an unbelievable skill. I think it's so tough because you're getting loose in the cage starting in the fifth. You're looking at the lineup. You're seeing I'm a righty, so I'm seeing what lefties they have in the pen and who could possibly be that matchup for me. So we're watching video. We're getting loose, and you're prepping for that bat that may or may not come. So that's a mental grind as it is. But the pinch hitters that are good, and there's guys that have made a living off it, and it's a crazy skill to have, and it's some guys just have that gene to do it in the right moment.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about your 2021 Chicago because I don't think we talked a lot about it the last time. There's a couple hitting things. So I went back and I looked. There was a stat that summer. You were best in baseball. You had the highest isolated power and you had the lowest strikeout percentage, which was it. It was so cool. So like the strikeout percentage now, I feel like everybody in the big strikes out all the time, and it's like whatever. It's not that big of a deal. But for you to be like have a 15% strikeout percentage that summer, was that a conscious decision to be like, I'm not striking out, I'm putting stuff in play? And has that always been the case for you?
Yeah, I've been one that I hate striking out, and it's like I was never top prospect or anything, never on the top ranking. So I was like, I thought if I strike out, I'm getting released, like just stuff like that. Obviously, it's not the case, but it's like if I can choke up with two strikes and put something in play, maybe cut down some strikeouts, maybe a blooper falls, maybe a ground ball goes through the hole, something like that. Obviously, situation pending where a strikeout plays better than a ground ball double play. But it's like I always like rolling the dice, playing the percentages that if I throw some bat on it, good things could happen.
So wait, you said there's situations where putting the ball in play is a detriment, obviously with the ground ball double play. Like, does that change your? Are you more willing to go chase some stuff to try to? I don't want to say you'd rather. I guess you said you'd rather strike out in that situation. Take me through that approach.
Yeah, where that's you got sinker guy on the mound, either late game where double play could kill basically kill the inning, kill the rally, kill the game. Where putting the ball in play on a sinker guy, probably going to put the ball on the ground rather than take an approach where you got to get something in the air, maybe a little bit more aggressive swing, maybe a bigger swing, where one out's better instead of two there.
What's the two strike approach for you as somebody who, like you just said, you don't want to strike out?
I just choke up a little bit, a little more barrel control, and just get my feet a little wider and start the whole load a little earlier, just to try and pick up anything possible. Um, but yeah, I like to battle up there. I'll foul something off if I have to, but I hate striking out.
Is that a point of pride for you? And also, I'm assuming like your managers and coaches must love that about you. Like in a big spot, like we know Frank's going to do something.
I take pride in battling. I wouldn't take pride in, sometimes a big swing strikeout looks a little better than like a weak ground ball somewhere. But like I said, if you get that bloop there, everybody's high fiving it. You get that seeing eye single that squeaks through a hole somewhere. That's awesome.
Do you think guys are like wired to be like, if you're a chase guy and you're like, all right, I want to go up there and try to hit everything, there's gonna be a lot of K's in my approach. Can guys fix that, or are you always just gonna be kind of that way?
I think it's going to be tough to fix because especially now there's organizations telling guys, the numbers say don't choke up. The numbers say take your best swing every single time. But this, like I said, this game's so hard where you're not gonna get that A swing off all the time, especially down 0-2 or two strikes. The pitcher's got you where he can throw his best stuff. So it's like it's always a game of give and take where you know some guys can get away with the big power guys could not choking up, striking out a ton because they're gonna hit a couple more homers and that plays obviously. So it's just defining what kind of hitter you are, and obviously situation pending. Regular season, postseason is a huge difference. Dominican Winter League, where everything's a playoff game, is a big difference. Where these guys are battling their ass off. It's crazy. So I think it's situation pending, and then it's your type of hitter pending.
We've had guys. I think Adam Frazier was on here talking about like there was years where he's trying to hit home runs and his average was bad, but like his power numbers were good. And then like I think Adley Rutschman just went through this where like last year he was like more patient, he was looking at more pitches. This year he comes in, he's swinging at more stuff. Like what? Take me through the off season approach for that. Like how do guys determine? All right, this is the year I'm going to be more aggressive. This is the year I'm going to be less aggressive, and what all kind of goes into that?
Yeah, that's a tricky one too, because now the biggest thing is like the Luis Ariz comparison with the low power but high contact versus like a Stanton high power, low contact. That big contrast, like what's more valuable, which is kind of crazy. Like I think Ariz, another batting title, but he was ranked like 100th best hitter, which that blows my mind too. But it's like it's all the actual value and getting the extra base hits, driving guys in, and that sort of sense. But it's you could have hitting coordinators or coaches in your ear be like, hey, you need to hit for more power. Or the sabermetrics guys in the big leagues like, hey, this is you had a good year, but if you do this, and you can probably add this value to your game, add this value to the team, which is it's just the numbers are crazy now in baseball in a sense that the sometimes on paper it could be running guys' careers or on the computer or whatever, but some guys can make that decision on their own. Like, hey, I'm going to hit for more power. Strikeouts don't matter. But, it's obviously you could train for, home run showcase swings in the cage. But then, when you're getting in that box, it's a whole different animal in there. So you could have that approach in the off season, which, a lot of guys do. But then it's all what you bring to the table in that box.
You mentioned something about hitting coaches, and I've seen already the offseason is, I think it just started, but like we've seen hitting coaches being fired, being moved around. What role does a hitting coach play in a team's success? So like if a team goes through like the entire lineup is slumping at the same time, like as a fan, people are like hitting coach problem. But like what role do they kind of play in the way that the team as a whole hits?
Some do absolutely nothing. So they'll just feed the machine or throw BP, do flips, whatever. And if you're like, what are you gonna say to an Aaron Judge? Stuff like that. Obviously these guys are so talented in the big leagues that they got there for a reason. They got their routines. Everybody's gonna go through ups and downs. That's part of the game. But then, hitting coaches are also responsible for, they break down video, they break down the scouting report for the other pitcher, they pick up on they or relay if the pitcher's tipping or something. But the the biggest thing is keeping the guys confident and sticking to a plan, like how we're going to attack this guy. If obviously somebody, has an 0 for a series or, a couple bad streaks, then, they're going to be working early. They're going to get their swings in, but their job is to, I would say, right, make recommendations and see what guys are. Maybe I didn't see that. I can go through a slump and watch as much video as anybody else, but sometimes another set of eyes can see something that you're not. But I think the biggest thing is, maybe suggestions. You're doing this here and there. Timing's a little off, but I think just getting the guys confident again is the biggest thing.
Have you been on teams where the entire lineup goes cold at the same time?
Oh yeah, first, there's been games where, I think we've been no hit a couple of times in the minors. Cubs went through a couple of bad stretches, but it's the guys swinging the bat, so the coaches can't do too much. But as long as they're present, they're given decent reports, because that comes from sabermetrics as well. But I think keeping the guys confident and sticking to the plan is their two biggest things.
What separates a good hitting coach from a great one? Like, are there little things? Are there like the types of suggestions they're giving? Like, what kind of makes a good one versus a great one?
I think keeping it simple is the biggest thing. Like I said, you made it to the big leagues. You're better than 99.999% of the people out there at hitting. So it's like you got there for a reason. I think everybody has their own unique swing. I mean, obviously, every good hitter does a lot of those things the same, but no, you know, no two people load the same, no two people stride the same. It seems like so. It's just getting into a good spot. So if they know the basics, they work with you in the cage to get the timing down. Whether it's machine work, everybody got their own routine too, but it's a tough job. But I think the best ones are the ones that make the players believe in themselves the most.
Have you seen that crazy? It's like in the hitting cage, they have like the machine that simulates the way the pitcher throws the ball, where they have like the screen thing. Have you seen
Oh
those?
yeah, yeah. The Cubs had it in the cage. I think that's harder to hit than actual pitching because
I've seen, it looks
it's an
insane.
amazing it's amazing. It's an exact replica of the guy.
Yeah, it was a track. What is it called? Uh,
Traject or Traject.
Traject or something.
Yeah,
Trackjet. Um, I saw that on Twitter. It's like the Orioles just spent however much money it is to get one of those, and it's just like I I, I don't know how it works, but yeah, it's insane.
yeah.
Um,
It's unbelievable, but that's
so
hard. That's really hard.
so when you look back to second half 2021 Chicago, hitting in the two spot, driving on all these runs, hitting all the homers, like what can you attribute your success to, and what stands out to you from that period in Chicago?
That was just all confidence. I feel like I showed up to the field. It was one of those stretches where it's just like is it going to be one, two, or three hits today? Where it's a great spot to be in. And then if it was a no hit day, which part of it is like whatever, I'll do tomorrow. But it was just one of those things where everything clicked. You know, I was hitting the ball hard, hitting the ball all parts of the field. Wasn't striking out, and we're still facing the best pitching. We had to roll through. My first two series was the Brewers and White Sox at the time. I'm like, getting a couple hits off those guys makes you feel pretty good, and then take that into the next series, whatever. But it was just one of those things where everything was on.
I think also it was like the beneficiary of consistent playing time too. So when obviously Rizzo left, was there a conversation like you're our guy no matter what?
Pretty much. It was they had wisdom for the first couple games, and it's just like, all right, Frank, you're our guy. Just go out there and have some fun.
Did that conversation and did that consistent playing time allow you to play more free, play more loose, and did that contribute obviously to your production?
Yeah, absolutely. The first couple of times I was in the big leagues, I was only facing lefties, so I'm looking at schedules ahead of seeing rotation stuff like that, and then, like I said, for the pinch hitting, I'm looking at iPads where, all right, this at bat, rather than I go to bed at night knowing I'm playing the next day. It's a deep breath. It's like, all right, you're already showing up as prepared as you're going to be, and it's less pressure per at bat. I feel like if you're not an everyday guy, there's so much more weight in that at bat where it's like, oh man, it's like another 0 for, we might not play for a week, where, this one 0 for 4, you're playing the next day, you get 2 hits tomorrow, and it's a whole different story. But I think just knowing that I was playing every day was just the the biggest factor in just taking a deep breath and enjoying it a little more.
Yeah, well, take me through that. If you're not playing consistently and you have an offer, maybe you have a bad day at the plate. Is it hard to not just replay every single pitch of every at bat? Because like you said, you don't know when the next one's going to come.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in. Obviously, you're grateful to be in the big leagues, and people would kill to be in that spot, being a hitting against lefties or spot start guy. But it's just it's just way more perceived weight in each at bat. So it's like you're replaying those pitches. Like, man, probably I shouldn't have took that fastball down the middle there. Like stuff like that, where it's just like because then you might have a couple days, you might have a week before you have that next at bat. So you're just sitting there replaying that in your mind. You're trying to stay ready, but yeah, it's harder to flush that and look to the next day.
I see this so often with young guys because I'm an Orioles fan. They have so many like 23-year-olds that play like once a week. I can't imagine as like a top prospect who's crushed it their entire lives, first round draft pick, whatever, and then you're like playing the option game or you're on the bench for like a week at a time. How are guys in those kind of situations playing sporadically? How are they supposed to show enough to warrant more playing time or to just like have success in that limited role?
That's a great question. I guess they just wait for their opportunity, but if you're not getting those consistent at bats, you can only stay so locked in off a machine in the cage or getting a couple tracking bullpens or whatever it may be. But unless you're getting those live game reps, it's tough to stay in that routine and that rhythm. The freaks can take a week off and then come back in and hit three bullets, but that's obviously rare as well.
Yeah. And also, just like how long did it take you to be comfortable in the big leagues? Because I've seen top prospects come up like Jackson Holiday and he'll like start off like 1 for 50 or something. It was the toughest stretch I've ever seen. How long does it take you to get acclimated to big league pitching?
Oof. I mean, that's another great question because some guys start off hot. I feel like you see a lot of these debuts. They're either their first hit's a homer or first at bat's a knock, just getting it out of the way early. But I think it took me 7 or 8 at bats to get my first knock. But I'm like, come on, it's got to be coming soon. But then no, it's a tough spot though. It's some you see some guys kill it right away. You see some guys like a Holiday, he struggled, but he's obviously he's gonna be a great. But it's just trusting that and to game percentages and averages, it's gonna bounce out.
So wait, what was that like? Like the first 7, 8 at bats going hitless before your first one was that the most stressful period?
Oh yeah, especially it was I was 0 for 2. It was whatever, and then that third at bat, it was I hit one in the second base hole, and they flashed up hit and RBI, first hit RBI, and they showed my family in the stands going nuts, whatever, all my buddies, and then they switched it to an error a couple pitches later. So we're like, oh my goodness, and it was Sanchez on the White Sox, it was a Gold Glover. So I was like, that's not an error. So I appealed it, didn't work. But so yeah, I had to wait a couple more days for that first knock.
Wait, how do you appeal that?
It was through the app. I'm like, so I sent it an appeal. I think it goes to Joe Torre at the time. I was just like, man, Joe hooked me up. I was a Yankee fan my whole life. I didn't say that, but yeah, I sent in an appeal. But it was a sure knock. It was a runners went glove side, whatever, and he just didn't touch it.
I
But they
I
put
didn't
it.
even know that was an option to appeal. Do guys do that often when they're like, I think that was a hit?
I have no idea. I asked my agent. I was like, I think that's a knock there. He's like, you can appeal it through the app. I'm like, I'll give it a shot.
You went through the app. Oh, it's fantastic. So 21 have a great season going into 22. Like, did you notice, like, did pitchers pitch you differently? Because you took the world by storm. You were the best story in baseball that summer. Going into the next year, like, did you notice anything different about the way they're throwing to you?
Um, I didn't see. I mean, I didn't feel that much of a difference. That was just a grind in itself because I got hurt the first game in spring training, and then I feel like that whole year was just a battle to feel good. So I wasn't worried about much of anything that they were throwing at me. I was just worried about feeling good on a daily basis, which is like a battle in itself. And it ended up I was pretty banged up, and I would love to get a reset on 22 now that I'm feeling better, but that's why I'm still keeping it going, just to hope that I can get back there and do it again.
Yeah, no, and that's what I wanted to ask next about was just like that season ends, you go to Japan the next year. What was the decision making process like? Did you talk to guys who had gone over previously?
That was a thing where, I was banged up. I was coming off a lot of success, and it was nice to get a guaranteed money contract because nothing in this game's guaranteed. You play well for a long time, and then the Cubs DFA me, and that kind of took me by surprise because I did a lot of good things for them, and it was just had me scratching my head. I'm like, all right, whatever, maybe it's not meant to be anymore in with the Cubs, and move on to the next endeavor. And the went down to Dominican, didn't play well, was banged up a little bit, and then so I rehabbed up and signed with Japan, and then same sort of thing, came out hot in spring training, got hurt, and then that was just a rehab the whole year pretty much. So it was a tough one.
Yeah. So take me through. You play with Yamamoto in Japan, right?
Yep.
What was that like? That had to be the coolest thing ever. Seen that guy pitch.
Unbelievable. It was he's just an average looking guy. He's 5'10", 175 pounds maybe. He's the most flexible dude. He's got his crazy routine, and he threw every Saturday. So it's just to sell out, and he was unbelievable. It was awesome. It was awesome to be around.
That's like college baseball, like Saturday starter.
Yeah,
That's
because they have a 6 game rotation and Mondays off, or 6 man rotation Mondays off. So he knew what day he was throwing, and it just worked out that it was home the first couple, I think 6 starts in a row, and we had some big crowds, and he was a showman. It was awesome.
you see it so often where like it doesn't always translate guys coming from Japan to the big leagues. Like it does obviously sometimes, but like it's not a surefire thing. If you come over, you're gonna have success. But when you were over there in Japan watching him pitch, did you know that his stuff would immediately translate to the bigs?
Yeah, it was a surprise if anybody made contact over there off him. People would cheat first pitch heater because that's they knew of the game I'm talking, like, so that was their best shot at getting a hit all day, it seemed like, because I don't know what it is over there, the ball might move a little different, that his split was just not hittable, and then the fastball coming off that same slot, it's just I don't think he let up more than 3 hits a game, and if he let up a run, everybody was shocked.
Yeah, he's crushing it now. Um, but coming back home to play for Long Island, being so close to home, obviously Japan versus Long Island, it's a little bit of a difference there. Do you think that freed you up a little bit? And do you think that's why your numbers were so eye popping over there?
I thought it was a great opportunity. I was coming off the back surgery, so I wasn't ready for any spring training. So around April, late March, April, I decided, my agent contacted them, and yeah, we'll get some at bats in here, see what happens. So no, it was a great opportunity. I was close to home. I was, Mondays off. I was able to go home. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, so they were able to come to a bunch of games. Um, so I thought it was a great experience, and I thought it was a great league because we had, the minor leagues cutting down teams is crazy. So there's just a lot of good players that don't have a place to play. And I think we had 10 guys signed to either Mexico or affiliated. The league had, guys going left and right getting picked up. So I thought it was a great opportunity, great league. And, Long Island was a great place to play.
I looked at the roster for that, just all big leaguers. Like Jackie Bradley Jr. was there. We are talked about our guy Tyler Zuber. What was that like seeing so many guys like in that one team, just like so much big league experience?
Yeah, it was amazing because everybody, has not a negative perspective on indie ball, but I didn't want to go either. It's just like, man, I've heard indie balls could be, for lack of a better term, a shit show. But I got Mike Montgomery in the clubhouse. We got Jackie Bradley. We got World Series champions on the roster. I'm like, if these guys are doing it, it's like, it's awesome. Just whatever, play some baseball, get some at bats, have some fun. But yeah, I think at one point we had 1 through 7 with big league time in the lineup, and we're facing good arms every night, and it was a good experience.
Brian talked about how playing in indie ball the last couple of years has like reinvigorated his love for the game. Do you think that was a little bit of the case for you? Obviously, coming off some injuries, playing overseas, did that playing in indie ball help kind of like help you fall back in love with it, for lack of a
Yeah,
better
for
term?
sure. Because there's no pressure there. You win whatever, you lose whatever, you're gonna play the next day. And it's just it got back to just show up and play. It's like you don't want to take BP today, yeah, no big deal. You want to hit in the cage today, don't want to work out today, no problem. Just worry about the game. So it's like just show up and play was the mentality. I mean, obviously health was the biggest thing. So just as long as I'm feeling good, I'll be all right. So I got my warm up pregame whatever back routine in, and then just go play some ball. And it's just got an opportunity to play with a lot of great guys, and it was a great experience to have some fun again.
I love that, dude. All right, I had a couple last ones for you. What was your favorite memory of playing in Chicago?
It was for sure the Labor Day weekend where I homered 3 out of the 4 days, and then I had the walk off slide. So I don't think I'll ever top that.
Was that the walk off slide into first base?
Yeah.
Oh
So
man, you went.
that was when it kind of all started. I had a couple buddies in town, and then I hit the homer one day. I think I had three hit games in a row too. So it was just an unconscious series. And then we went to the bar at Murphy's in center field after. So then it's just like the next day it happened again. I'm like, all right, I guess we got to go back. And then the next day was the walk off dive, slide, whatever. And it was all right. I guess we got to go back for a couple beers. And then next day 3 hits and a homer. All right, I guess we got to go back. So it was a lot of fun because then it's like day one they checked my ID at the door. Nobody knew how it was. And then by the fourth day we have a line of guys waiting for autographs, so buying my friends beers, stuff like that. It was a crazy time, and like I said, I don't know if anything can top that.
I forgot about that. Yeah, you were a frequent visitor of Wrigleyville during your time there, right?
Uh, my buddies were. I would make an appearance here and there, but those day games come around quick, so it's like a beer or two, and then head back, get some rest.
I like that. Did the nickname Frank the Tank, did that follow you overseas? The stops after?
That's a funny story. So they had one series where they had our names on the back in Japanese, so the kids can read it. They had off from school or whatever, so it's great. So obviously they're learning English, but if Japanese is on the back, it helps them read it, helps them know who their players are. So they asked me before the year, like, "What's your nickname?" We're gonna put it on a jersey. So everybody either put like Frank or Schwindel or their name. I would just put on, oh, my nickname's Frank the Tank. So they put that on the back of the jersey, and they thought it was like the funniest thing ever. Like, this guy put Frank the Tank on the back of his jersey. It was written in Japanese, so it was cool. But they that was my best series. Obviously, it had to be. That was my first and only homer, and a couple RBIs, a 3 hit game. So it was a great series. It was a funny story.
Did they let you keep that jersey after? I feel like that's a frame
I
moment.
bought one, yeah. So
Yeah,
I had kept one and bought one, yeah. I had to.
that's the best. So in the World Series the other night, this obviously took baseball by storm. The fan interference down the line. Have you ever seen anything like that playing first base? Maybe you're running up to the net or running up to the stands. Like, have you experienced anything as crazy as that?
No, that was unbelievable. You see the ones where guys reach over. That's fine. They get excited. Obviously, the Bartman one is the most historic, I would say. But that one, to aggressively reach in, get the pry the glove open, have the buddy hold Mookie's arm. It's just that was assault. But
Yeah.
that was you think the guy's an asshole, but then you see the guy. I watched the Barstool interview this morning, and it was actually pretty funny. The guy seems like an all right dude, but that's just one of those things that just can't happen. That's like I said, that's assault.
The arm coming in to grab the arm, Mookie's arm was just like that freaked me out. I don't know what I would do if that happened to me.
No, and I heard Mookie's an awesome dude, and he freaked out. It's just like that just can't happen in this game.
Has there ever been like a fan interaction for you on the field? Like, I don't know, away stadium and maybe anything like crazy?
Mm, I'm probably just in the Dominican. These guys, there's fights where there's not with the players. I think maybe once with a player, but no, they're so passionate down here. They're throwing haymakers in the stands. There's guys getting ejected, getting escorted out, and yeah, it gets crazy in the stands here.
Jesus. All right, last question for you, Frank. This has been incredible. What is the plan post Dominican Winter League? What does it look like for you?
No, the plan right now is to show that I'm healthy again. Not necessarily put any emphasis on numbers or whatever, just stay on the field, don't get hurt, put some balls and play hard, and we'll see how it goes from there. Whether it's open to any opportunity, but yeah, just enjoy the game and stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, so you're only 32, right? So you're not like you still feel good, you're still loving the game. Like, yeah,
Oh
this
yeah,
is
I got time left.
yeah, this is not the end. Yeah, I love that, dude. I really hope something pops up for you next year because you're the man. Well, this has been incredible. Thank you so much for hopping on for a little bit and catching up. I've been looking forward to this one. So, best of luck down there in the Dominican, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, I appreciate it. Happy to do it anytime.